The phrase, going postal, is a popular term used to describe any situation where someone being mistreated on the job, any job, is pushed to their breaking point, resulting in homicide. Which is a scarier thought? The fact that you could go to work tomorrow and lose your life from a coworker going postal, or the fact that it happens so often, there's actually a term for it. One of the most common causes of these stressful situations is workplace bullying, the bully boss.
It was 1988 when I began my career with the United States Postal Service. And the job was very challenging, and it was a challenge that I was prepared to take on because I've always been the type of person that was not afraid of a challenge. And I developed quite a few relationships with the people that I was working with, and I had worked for Shuttle Station for many years, 15 years to be exact. And the people that I had worked with witnessed me have my children and watch my children grow. So you can just imagine what type of memories we all shared in 15 years. When I developed carpal tunnel syndrome, which is the pain within the wrist, normally you have to give yourself a rest. I had been doing so much overtime to where the pain was becoming unbearable. And when I started complaining about the pains within my wrist, my supervisors had began to treat me differently. And it was very noticeable, not only to myself, but other workers.
You see, what's usually going on in the head of the bully boss is they feel the need to emasculate their subordinates. I mean, they have a constant need to remind them that they're beneath them. And they feel like they themselves are the only ones who paid their dues to get where they are, and no one else has. So they feel the need to make it hard for others, for the little folks, so to speak.
I had just had surgery a few days prior to September the 25th. And this was the day that a supervisor got a little beside herself.
Get off the phone. How many times have I told you to get off the phone?
It's my job to be on the phone.
I don't care. I told you not to get on the phone. Get off of the phone. Get off of the phone.
Why every time I turn around, you're on my face, you're messing with me. I'm doing my job. Why are you bothering me?
She approached me in a way that was just not acceptable.
You know what? I'm tired of you telling me what you're going to do. It's time for me to write you up.
How you gonna write me up?
I don't want to hear that. I don't want to hear that. It's time for me to write you up. It's time for me to write you up.
On my face. How you gonna write me up when you're on my job?
I'm done.
It don't even make any sense. Y'all told me to get up and listen and make phone calls.
I told you not that phone so right you are. But you wanted to do what you wanted to do. You are with me. Somebody go what's this?
After she stuck me in my eye with the E-pen, she yelled out screaming, "Somebody call the postal inspector, she hit me." And the way she said it was like a bad scene from a movie. It was like, I couldn't believe she was actually trying to set me up.
Marshelle had just fell victim to the type of misconduct from a supervisor that can, and usually does, escalate to all-out violence. Furthermore, she had no place to turn.
You see, victims of workplace bullies feel alone. They don't know who to talk to about it. They don't even know how to approach the situation.
I started bringing weapons to work. I even thought about setting fire to the place. I even started having dreams of killing. Literally, I was on the brink of going postal. Being the employee that I was, how could this have happened to me?
First, the target is happy in their position. Then something changes. A new supervisor, a reorganization, an acquisition, or something of that nature. The target becomes bullied. The target cries out for help. We show a union in this slide. Unions are very supportive of the Healthy Workplace Bill and are opposed to workplace bullying. The target may also go to the HR department or management. An investigation begins. The target should be moved to a different chain of command, at least temporarily during the investigation, but usually the target's chain of command is not changed. If the chain of command is not changed during the investigation, the workplace bullying usually gets worse. In the United States, there aren't any laws against workplace bullying, and the union contracts, with some exceptions, don't have anything prohibiting workplace bullying. Without some form of specific written prohibition or policy against workplace bullying, usually the union, the HR department, or management can't help the target, and workplace bullying just gets worse and worse. The target now is desperate and, rightly or wrongly, charges discrimination. But since actionable wrongdoing is charged against the bully support system, that is, the bully's union or management, comes to the defense of the bully. Now suppose a vacancy occurs in another department. The target sees this as an opportunity to escape the workplace bullying. However, the target is unlikely to receive a favorable reference from a bullying supervisor, and the target is unable to escape. The target's only option now is an expensive private attorney. But since in the United States there aren't any laws against workplace bullying, this is likely to be fruitless, and the bully's support continues to defend the bully. The target is now in a nearly impossible situation that can only be resolved by resignation.
My name is Ed Allen, and I am a licensed clinical social worker, mental health provider. I work with people who suffer from all kinds of mental health concerns. Marshelle, when she came to me with symptoms of generalized anxiety disorder. Basically, anxiety is just another word for fear. And sometimes fears can manifest themselves in numerous ways. In Marchelle's case, she was in the employment of the Postal Service. She reported back to work and had some difficulty with her supervisor. As a result, tensions grew. She became more and more stressed with the responsibilities of her job. She felt that there was significant discrimination from the Postal Service against her in particular. At that time had 7 children whom she was providing for. This was her main source of income. And when that was threatened, obviously it's normal to feel somewhat frightened and intimidated, and as a result the fear of losing her income and those kinds of thoughts and feelings can become embellished, and before you know it, And as a result, these fears continued to exacerbate her condition until it pretty much rendered her disabled from carrying out the specific duties of her job.
To add insult to injury, the next week when I returned to work, I was forced to sit directly in front of her. Day after day, I had to deal with them taunting me, trying to intimidate me to bid out of the station.
Did you know that 72% of workplace bullies are women? And they're gonna make it hard for other women.
When women bully other women, they do it because these women are a threat to them.
But there's been progress. Anti-bullying legislation has been introduced in 13 states since 2003.
It is more common than sexual harassment. Bullying is not against the law, and because it's under the radar, people get away with it.
They become sociopathic. Certainly not all, but some do. So it can be a very serious problem. Recently, it's become an interesting phenomenon because it seems to be happening more and more.
While cases of bosses bullying employees and employees committing violence against other employees continues to grow, Marshelle has traded her office job for a more solitary means of income, a taxi cab.
Thinking back to how hard it was fighting for justice, for what had happened, was hard for not only myself but my children, because going through that motion, I had to not only deal with the fact that I was being forced out of my job, I had to deal with the loss of my children's dad, which triggered a emotional imbalance with my children as well. So I had to try to hold it all together.
First, acknowledge that you have a problem at work. It is a problem, and it is only a problem. It is something that you can overcome. Though a bully boss often makes his or her employees feel helpless, intimidated, humiliated, sometimes infuriated, you can counteract this. The second step is the following. Do not engage in the bully boss's antics. Do not get involved in screaming matches, arguments, discussions that you know and the bully boss knows is only a trap for you. Step 3, gather a record. Now, what do I mean by a record? Gather, when you're home with a piece of paper and a pen, not at the office, but make a list of facts, events, witnesses, documents that can very graphically illustrate the bullying that you are experiencing.
My advice to anyone that is having to deal with a bully boss, or any bully for that matter, is to document everything. Show the signs to people that you're calling out for help, because you will fall into a trap if you don't. As soon as you become aware that someone is trying to set you up and trap you, make note. Looking back on all of that now, I'm glad all of that is behind me. I'm glad that I didn't go postal. I'm here today enjoying life with my family, raising my children. Hopefully I can teach them how to make good decisions, because people will test you. It's so easy to make the wrong decision. In just a matter of seconds, you can change the lives of many people in some very tragic ways.